From Guitar Business Radio, this is GBR Focus, the podcast about companies, products, services, and plenty of details. But sorry, no idle chatter. And as we move into uncharted waters in the business of guitar, keep your chin up and your nose to the grindstone. Simultaneously, of course. I'm Jeffrey D. Brown, and I'm here for the duration. So let's get to it. Welcome to this episode of GBR Focus, brought to you by Guitar Business Radio and Custom Sound Instruments. And I want to remind all of you that you can subscribe to GBR Focus on your favorite podcast platform, and you can get on our email list, listen to shows, and get much more information on each episode at gbrfocus.com. Now today, our focus is on blues box guitars. It's a new line of professional cigar box instruments that really offer some unique features we've not seen before. And we're going to dig deep into the details of these guitars as they come to market in a much bigger way. And to tell us about the history and development of these instruments, along with some sound clips and more info on the features, benefits, availability, and all that stuff, we're joined by Ryan Elawat, whose company created, manufactures, and distributes the blues box guitars. He's been at this for many, many years, and who best to tell us about it? So let's get to it as Ryan Elawat joins us right here and right now. Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today on GBR Focus. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I appreciate being here. Thanks for having me.
Terrific. Well, before we get into talking about what Custom Sound Instruments is up to these days, and we're going to do that, I'd like you to share with our listeners, some of the critical history of the company and a little bit about how you got to where you are today, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. I'd love to tell you about it, at least without getting into too many details or going too long.
Well, we like details. That's what we're all about.
I started Custom Sound in 2004, and I was in my early 20s, and started more as a retail operation, always based around guitar repair and my luthiery expertise. I started building guitars when I was in high school and did an apprenticeship at a little acoustic boutique, so I got the bug early on. And I actually dropped out of my senior year of college to start a guitar store. Yeah. And I was maybe young enough to not know what I was getting myself into, but smart enough and ambitious enough to make a go of it. And, we were more of an acoustic boutique. We did a lot of electric repair as well. But I've always had a fondness for acoustic guitars. And I wanted to be a really nice, beautiful boutique guitar store, but it takes a lot of capitalization to pull that off, and we're also in a really small town, so the retail game was hard for us for a long time, although it did pay the bills. And I always wanted to build guitars and have my own wall, my own shop to showcase my own guitars, and the realities of business and cash flow quickly set in as I started my business, and so I became heavily invested in the retail operations. All the while we were growing our repair business and always doing commission-based builds, doing custom builds along the way. So that lasted for quite a while, and we developed our retail business, and it was going pretty well. Anyone who's in the industry knows that it's gotten harder and harder as the years have gone by with online competition and all that kind of stuff. Also being in a small town is difficult.
And let's just clarify that for the audience that you're in Flagstaff, Arizona, right?
Correct. We're in Flagstaff, Arizona, so we're 2 hours north of Phoenix. And Arizona is kind of a pretty sprawled out state, so it's not like there's a bunch of cities that butt up against to one another. So a lot of few and far between cities in Arizona. The geography makes it a little bit more difficult too. But yeah, so in 2014, we expanded our retail, actually. We moved it across the street to where our lesson partners were. There was a guitar lesson studio over there. They had a bunch of open space, so we partnered up with those guys in kind of an effort to expand and save our retail operation. Our original location, where we still are, is pretty small, and it was a lot to try to squeeze in retail and a repair shop into the one little building. So what we did was we moved retail across the street where the lessons were. That's all very logical, and that gave us more space at the old location to make more benches and expand the repair operation, because that's what we're mostly known for. And that lasted for about a year and a half, maybe a year and a few months. And It was January of last year. It was a little over a year ago. I just decided to pull the plug on that and focus entirely on our repair shop and our custom building. We launched a couple brands of our custom built guitars. Blues Box Guitars is one of those brands that we're going to talk about. So that happened last year. We backed out of retail. We closed down that operation and just poured all of our energy into the original location, which is now our main facility for repairs and guitar building.
Yeah. So, one of the main things we do want to talk about today is the launch of your newest line of guitars called Blues Box. And I'd like to first get into the development of the instrument and then we can explore some of the features and benefits. But tell us how the idea came to fruition and, give us a little history of that.
Sure. Yeah, all the while. So we've been building guitars kind of here and there the whole time. And we've been making these little cigar box guitars for a few years at this point. But the transition away from retail really led to us developing the product and the brand as a specific item, something specific that we could offer and push out to the masses. When we came up with the alternate tuning feature, that kind of sealed the deal in terms of this unique property that this guitar has. And we'll talk more about that, of course, in a second. But yeah, so we were building for a while and we'd been selling them through the shop. I mean, we were only selling maybe 5 or 6 a year. We weren't really pushing them. The design wasn't all the way there yet either. So when we started focusing on building after retail, what we did was there's a lot of other cigar box guitars out there, a lot of other CBGs, and we knew ours was different, but we had done one like a dulcimer. If or if the audience can picture a lap dulcimer or a mountain dulcimer, where it has like the 2 double strings,
right.
D, A, and then a double D. Well, one of my repair guys had made one of these cigar box guitars like a dulcimer. So it had the diatonic frets, like there's frets missing on the fingerboard, basically, But it was kind of cool. Nobody ever bought that one. It was kind of just this thing that nobody understood. And it hit me one day, well, what if we put the added notches, we did extra notches at the nut and the bridge on all of these so that each one of them, you could switch the strings over and do this alternate tuning thing. And we started having meetings about this and we developed the production more. We have a really good team of luthiers now. So we all consulted on a lot of aspects of how the approach of the manufacturing would work and the costing and everything else, and how we would scale it up and maintain quality levels as we push things forward. And that's kind of how it came about. It was kind of this tangent project that came about from the exit from retail when we started focusing on our benches and what we're doing with our hands. This whole thing kind of started to snowball on us.
Well, it's a good story, and we always like to see that. For the benefit of our listeners, let's listen to a couple of short sound clips from the Blues Box guitar so that they can get a sense of what it sounds like.
Before you play it, Jeff, can I say one thing real quick about the sound samples? We make the Blues Box as an electric guitar. They all have an electric pickup, but they sound pretty cool acoustically too. So some of the sound samples we have, as you know, are just acoustic. And then there's a sound clip of it being played through an electric guitar amp as well. And if you mic them upright, you can get a cool acoustic sound out of it. But I just want people to know that we do make them as an electric guitar, but it's really versatile. And as you'll see with the sound clips, you can get a cool acoustic sound too.
Well, that's great. So first, let's hear an acoustic example of the Blues Box guitar in standard tuning. Okay, so that sounds pretty cool. Now let's switch over and let's hear an acoustic sample in the alternate double D tuning that you've been talking about. And we'll get into some of the details later, but let's listen to that clip right now. Well, you can hear the difference there, and what a remarkable change that is. I mean, that's a great sound. Let's go ahead and, while we're on that alternate tuning, let's hear the electric version of that clip as well. Okay, well, that's a distinctively different sound in its own right. So, look, this is a pretty unique feature, for this kind of instrument. So, why don't you tell us what's involved in switching that tuning, and then and how it would be used?
What you really get is two instruments in one, as you can kind of hear. They're two very different sounds. Let's picture this. If your audience can picture a dulcimer, and for those who don't know what a lap dulcimer is, an Appalachian dulcimer or a mountain dulcimer, it's a 4-stringed instrument where the low string is a D, the next string is an A, and then the top 2 strings are a double course, kind of like what you see on a mandolin, and those are typically tuned both to D. So on a dulcimer, you have D, A, double D, and again, that top pair are really close to each other, like a mandolin or like a 12-string guitar.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so what we have, we go from a standard tuning, which is 4 strings. It's the top 4 strings of a guitar. So from low to high, it goes D, G, B, E. It's also the same tuning as a baritone ukulele. Some people tune tenor guitars this way. So it's really natural for a normal, just an average guitar player to pick it up and start with a D chord, I always say. A D chord's a D chord.
Yeah.
It's the same strings there, top 4 of a guitar. What we have on the blues box guitar is the nut up at the headstock, where the strings are guided from the tuning keys down the neck. They go through the nut to space the strings out properly. So that part's called the nut, for those that don't know. And down at the bridge, we have extra notches there too. So what we have is at the nut, there's extra notches. So you can move the 2nd string over and you move the 3rd string over. You do the same thing down at the bridge, and all of a sudden you have strings set up like a dulcimer, and you just have to retune 2 of the strings to get a different tuning. And it's hard to explain over the radio.
But you can, that's true, and that this is radio, so to speak. But you can hear the difference, and people will certainly be able to go on your website and
check it out. There's a demo video there too. And the other thing I'll point out is that the bridge and the nut, the alternate notches are marked with a little silver mark. It makes it really easy to see which notches you're going to and how to change it back over. And anybody who has played guitar for a little while will find it very easy to move the strings over and to change the tuning really quickly as well.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it makes it even that much more, of a versatile instrument, I would think.
It's a fun little thing. I was going to mention later, I knew we were on the right track when I decided that I had to have one of these things.
Yeah.
I get to play guitars all the time, and I don't get new guitars very often because I don't really need to. I don't play as much as I used to, and I'm working on different guitars all day long, so I kind of get that fulfillment. But no, I'm serious. I decided about a month or 2 ago that how much I loved this thing, and I had to have one too. So my newest guitar is a blues box guitar.
So Ryan, an important question I had is, who do you think is going to want to own one of these guitars?
I've been asked that by a few different people lately, and my answer is every guitarist and any guitarist, period. Seriously, if you already have a few guitars, maybe you dabble with mandolin or ukulele every once in a while, this is the next guitar you want. I'm telling you, it's so versatile and easy to play and to find new things to play on. One of the things I found as someone who's played professionally in the past, studied classical guitar, this cool little thing forces me to play more by ear. Like when I'm playing in open tunings and stuff, I don't think as much. And so it's more of an improvisational type of playing, and more things come out of your fingers. So I sincerely believe that any guitarist could have a lot of fun with one of these.
And it offers a new avenue of creativity, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It offers a new avenue of creativity, new sounds. It's just a fun new thing.
Listen, can you tell us a little bit about what comes with each blues box guitar?
Sure. So each one comes standard with the alternate tuning notches at the bridge and the nut. The alternate tuning feature is standard on every one of them. They're also all made with a bone nut. We use nice tuning gears, maple neck, maple fingerboard. It's a good single coil lipstick tube style pickup. We also offer them all with either a natural stain or a vintage amber stain. So that's a standard feature. Those are the two basic options of color on the neck itself. And then we also offer them with or without a volume control. Those are the standard features for the Blues box.
Yeah, and they're all a little bit different, though. Each one's a little bit different, though. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're always collecting new cigar boxes so that we have a stock of those. And that just kind of depends on what we have in stock. So each one's a little bit different in that right. And what we have found, too, this is kind of funny. I mean, these are the inexpensive, fun instruments we make. These are by no means, $1,000 guitars. These are pretty cheap. And we've been really impressed at the differences from one to the next. They all sound different, just like guitars. You go to an acoustic guitar boutique and play a bunch of different callings or a bunch of different Santa Cruzes, and they all sound slightly different. And we're really amused by the differentiation from one to the next. They all sound pretty good, but they all sound very different based on the boxes we're using. That's kind of a cool thing. And obviously there's a huge aesthetic difference from one box to the next.
Yeah, and that gives you a unique element there, because some of the other folks building these cigar box guitars are having the boxes made for them. They're all the same,
right.
thing. So it's a unique feature that I think adds to the pizzazz of each instrument.
Yeah, maybe the authenticity too, because they are real cigar boxes. We're not having them manufactured for us. We're going to the different cigar shops and tobacco shops in town and purchasing them there. That's going to be our issue as we scale, is collecting cigar boxes.
Well, that's probably not a terrible problem to have, I would imagine.
Not at all.
So I know you have a dealer program for Blues box guitars, and you might want to mention just a little bit about that. But you do sell direct, and I've noticed that you have an interesting program for new owners that really takes the risk out of acquiring one of these instruments. So what can you tell us about all that?
Yeah, absolutely. We sell direct to individual players through our website, and obviously here through our shop in Flagstaff. And what we always offer, we call it the Play It First policy. And it's a 3-day complete inspection period. So the individual, the player, you can play it, make sure you like it before deciding to keep it. It's a no strings attached, sorry, pun intended, no strings attached kind of policy, so people can test things out before they decide to keep it. If anybody wants to return it for any reason, no questions asked, we will issue a return shipping label for you to make the return easy, and then we'll refund you minus $40 to cover our shipping expenses. It's free shipping to the customer, so if they want to return it, we will issue a restocking fee to cover our shipping expenses.
Yeah, well, I think that's understandable.
It's pretty standard.
Yeah, really. So folks can get some immediate information. How?
Immediate information is available at our website, customsoundinstruments.com or bluesboxguitar.com.
Bluesboxguitar.com. That probably goes right to the landing page, doesn't it?
That takes you right there, and you can get all the information you need. There's a demo video there, more information about the alternate tuning feature, and all sorts of other good stuff.
And we have some links and a couple of photos and whatnot on the official episode page. So folks have probably already seen that and have access to it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or one of the other podcast platforms, which many people do, you can head over to the official episode page and get all that information, or just check out bluesboxguitar.com. Now, before we go, I do want to know a little bit more about what's on the horizon for Custom Sound Instruments. I know you guys also build some high-end custom guitars. Tell us about that and where things are going.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. Last summer, we launched one of our brands called Solstice Guitars, something I've been working on for quite a while. It's our boutique high-end line of guitars. Right now, we have one electric model, which has tons of different features, and one acoustic model. So that's something we're focusing on as we move forward here away from retail. We do tons of repairs. We do over 1,200 repairs a year, and we now offer a repair by mail program. We make it super easy. We send you a box. We prepay the box. You don't have to pay anything up front except for a small deposit, just to ensure that you're a serious customer, so you can ship us guitars for high-end setup work, high-end repair jobs. We're still establishing a dealer network for blues box guitars and also for Solstice. And that's it. We got our basket full right now.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And you've had a lot of snow this year. So
we've had a lot of snow this year.
From what I understand. And Flagstaff's a beautiful area. And I would think it probably provides you some inspiration for your work, and you can go out and get some nice fresh air and go back in and get back at it, right?
It's a nice place to work. I like working in Flagstaff, yeah.
So folks can get, in addition to the Blues Box, they can get full information on all your services and the other instruments at customsoundinstruments.com?
That's correct. Yeah, everything is under the umbrella of our main facility, and that is Custom Sound Instruments.
Great. Well, listen, it's been great having you on the show. I hope folks find this really interesting. I've seen the instruments, not in person, but, in looking them over on the site and some photos that you've sent over and that sort of thing. And I think they look terrific. And I wish you a lot of success with the venture.
Well, thanks, Jeff. Again, I appreciate being here, and maybe we'll get one of these in your hands one day.
Who knows? Maybe so. Okay, Ryan, take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks again. Bye for now.
So what did you think of the interview with Ryan Elowat? We always want to hear from you, and you can do that easily through the official episode page on our website at gbrfocus.com, or on Facebook and Twitter at Guitar Business, or email us directly at contact@guitarbusinessradio.com. And of course, if none of that works for you, you can always just call us on the GBR hotline at 888-777-2404. You can do that right now if you like. Operators are standing around waiting for your call. So I hope you got some value from our interview with Ryan. I certainly enjoyed working with him on this and got to learn much more about stuff I didn't know about beforehand. And it reminded me about something we talked a lot about in my interview with guitarist RJ Ronquillo not long ago on Guitar Business Radio, and that is versatility. And it was obvious that having and being able to play an instrument like the Blues Box and integrate the unique sound and style you get from it into your own playing, whether for work or play, well, that would certainly be a net plus. And if you're interested and haven't already listened to it, you can hear RJ talk about versatility in episode 53 of GBR if you so choose. So that about wraps up this episode of GBR Focus. Stay tuned and stay in touch at gbrfocus.com. And I see no reason not to end this show with the same appropriate message you always get on Guitar Business Radio. Stay positive, stay focused on the destination, but always keep all the options open on how you're going to get there. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again on the next episode of GBR Focus.